This module of instruction is called Contingency Analysis. And the first slide says prioritizing for contingencies. So we'll start with a conversation of establishing priorities. And one of the questions to ask ourselves is, how bad will it be if this application crashes? I think that's the way to think about going through this priority hierarchy of high, medium, and low. Starting with high. High designation is for the critical applications, where the loss of the application access is really unacceptable. It can have a devastating kind of impact. The entity is immediately incapable of performing its duties. Those are the two important criteria. But there is really a third important one, which is that lives could be lost. And that's the one that, if this kind of a situation exists, should allow you to give this high critical designation to these kinds of applications. The second one, the medium, is for important applications, but where loss is still unacceptable, but it's not quickly damaging. That's the key criteria. The entity is still able to function without the application for a short period of time. The services and support can be delayed or degraded without a major impact. And the third, obviously, is the non-essential applications where loss can be tolerated without significant impact. The organization continue to operate and function without it for prolonged periods of time. The service and support could be delayed or degraded for an extended period of time. So why designate priorities? The first reason is we designate application criticality because of the amount of resources that we pay attention to this kind of understanding. As the criticality increases, so does the support staff, the developers, the security, the maintenance associated with the support of this kind of an application. The other one is to understand the dependency in the hierarchy. So a massive system outage has occurred, everything has crashed, and needs to be repaired. Which ones do you start with first? By establishing priority designations up front, you're able to know the answer. Start with the highest level priorities. Some systems will not work unless they are brought up functional in a particular sequence. So you need to know what is the sequence of how I would bring them up. So which systems do you begin repairing first? That's what it allows you to answer. Prioritizing what matters, this slide talks to the importance of understanding that IT depends on the designation of the functions. It's the functions that the IT actually supports. So this notion of enterprise architecture that allocates priorities to the functions is where the prioritization actually should be drawn from. So you should prioritize the services, and then your servers should correspond directly to the higher level services, priority services. So knowing where the functions take place will tell you where the data is and what to protect the most, where to assign the highest level priority, which means what do you repair, what do you fix first. Disaster recovery is another part of contingency planning, and it's typically associated with something called Continuity of Operations Plan, or COOP. It should be integrated with other organizations, not typically something that you do on your own. And sometimes it requires national level planning. Many levels to this. It depends on the levels of priorities of the functions in terms of how much attention is paid to it. And it typically requires a backup data center located at a far different geographical location, and possibly even a remote location with highly secure archival as part of that. It is a specialty planning, not something that you should entertain to do on your own as your own entity, something that should be done in collaboration with other entities. So in summary, the importance of establishing a priority designation for the IT systems, it begins with contingency readiness based on a priority hierarchy, and you can use low, medium, or high as a designation, and there are many benefits that come from this. One is maintenance, the typical one, but the other one is crisis management to the allocation of the resources.